Welcome to Rover Sports at Night. We have a special edition outlining the blockbuster trade for the Sixers and Celtics. It's been a long time since these guys were rivals and they were relevant. We have to go back to 1980 when Larry Bird joined the Celtics and Dr. J fiercely defended the Sixers, the 1983 champion 76ers. The rivalry dying down in 1985. And here we are. Spencer G and Rover Sports flashed in 2017. And things are ratcheting up again as the Sixers acquire Markelle Fultz for the number one pick from the dreaded rival Celtics.
Pretty incredible stuff. The Philadelphia 76ers 2 years in a row are now going to take home the number one pick in the NBA draft. Two number one caliber players. You look at Ben Simmons, and there's just so much hype around this guy. I can't wait to see what his game translates to on an NBA floor. We've only seen him in Summer League, only seen him in college, and because of being injured all of last year, we haven't seen his game come to full fruition on an NBA floor. And now the 76ers get a guy in Markelle Fultz that I think the city is very excited about. Fultz, his personality, and the way that he can even play without the basketball. A lot of people around here are saying that the fit is a perfect fit. But Bruce, what do you think about the pieces that the Sixers gave up to acquire Markelle Fultz? And are you elated at the news of Markelle being a 76er?
I'll answer the second question first. That's an easier question. I'm elated. For all of you who haven't seen Markelle Fultz, I want you to Google sports science, and it's going to be dodgeball. You're going to see 5 professional dodgeballs, players, of course, throwing the equivalent of 125-mile-an-hour fastballs. And you're going to see Markelle demonstrate his cutting ability, dribbling ability, incredible reactions, stop and go, ending with the jam. And he's got everything. This guy is a combination player. He's got the athleticism of Russell of Westbrook. He's got the cutting ability of Kyrie Irving. He's a complete gym rat. He's happy here in Philadelphia. He's 2.5 hours away in Maryland. And the Sixers have already anointed him with his own locker. And the guy, I believe, will be the true point guard. Looking at a 7-foot accompanying guard, Ben Simmons, nobody, including former coach, his name, Larry Brown. Yeah. Larry Brown was just interviewed, and he said, anybody that thinks that Ben Simmons is going to be a true point guard is out of their gourd. That's what he said. So, and I agree with the coach. I agree with the Hall of Famer, Larry Brown. This is going to be a complimentary backcourt. Looking at Markelle Fultz, he's truly a swing guard, but he's got all the skills. And as far as your question one, essentially next year, the Sixers have the Lakers pick. It is now unrestricted. If the Sixers get if they pull the number one ping pong ball, that's what we call a grand slam. It means they get to keep their pick. And what happens? It means the Celtics get rolled back 1 year to the Sacramento first-round pick, also unrestricted. Why is that a good bet for the Celtics? Sacramento isn't going to be good anytime soon in our lifetime. However, if the pick falls out of the top 5, the Sixers could still get and keep 6 to 10. So that means
I think 6 to 30.
So if it's 2, what it is, of course, if it's 2 through 5, it gets traded to the Celtics. 6 and higher, whatever it is, 6 through 30, comes back to the Sixers. I think it's a great trade. My fear was giving up not only the 3rd pick in this draft, but packaging other assets that we have and overdoing it. That is essentially getting fleeced by Danny Ainge. However, I'm very comfortable with this trade. I've heard a lot of people comment on this trade. I think I've only heard, and I listen to talk radio a lot throughout this city of Philadelphia, I only heard literally 2 callers who didn't like the trade. And that's not bad. What are your thoughts?
I love the trade because Markelle Fultz is a guy that can play without the basketball, so Ben Simmons is not going to feel threatened. You know, Ben Simmons is the king of the 76ers. If you brought in a De'Aaron Fox is not going to be able to be a shooting guard. He needs the ball in his hands 100% of the time. Lonzo Ball, for him to be effective, he needs to run the team. He needs to field the ball every single possession. He needs to dribble the ball up the floor. Markelle Fultz is a guy that will let Ben Simmons dribble the ball. Markelle Fultz will also be able to handle the ball. One concern about Markelle Fultz is that, you know, De'Aaron Fox is a faster prospect than Markelle Fultz. And while Fultz can dunk the ball, I don't think he has the highest vertical leap. You know, Dennis Smith has a higher vertical leap, but I look at Markelle and the guy doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Now, I just want Markelle to be able to shoot the ball well, and I want Markelle Fultz to be strong enough to get into the lane and be crafty enough, okay? Because I don't think his speed is incredible, but I want him to be able to use angles really well. I hope his speed is fast enough. I don't want to see this guy, you know, be an Evan Turner, you know, a guy that was highly touted out of college, a guy who also didn't have any weaknesses. As long as Markelle can shoot the three, can shoot the mid-range jumper, as long as he'll be able to shoot, I'm confident in Markelle Fultz. And actually, if you told me, Bruce, who are you more confident in, Fultz or Saric, I would say I'm much more confident in Fultz's ability for this basketball team. So I think with Simmons, it's a great fit. And put it this way, if this were, I think now the Sixers have their backcourt. Now I think their team is officially complete. The horses are all in the gate. And that is what is the most exciting thing. Because, Bruce, if they drafted Josh Jackson, you would still need that guard. They finally have the guard. All the horses are in the gate, and now we're ready to finally watch the team.
I agree. There's also a hot take by Brian Colangelo. We just saw, again, you're seeing a replay of something we recorded last night. But at 12:30, Brian Colangelo went on record as saying he's not done. He's still looking at acquiring another first-round draft pick. And he's got a lot of assets. He's got second-rounders. He might trade an existing player. But what he said is they've scouted this whole first round. They have so many guys they like. And could they get him a Lake Monk, who's just a pure shooter, just to add to it? There's a guy, his name's Isaac, I believe, who's really a freak. He's very raw. They might be looking for, in the fact that they're going for it this year. Officially, guess what? The process is over, all right? It's time to start playing. It's time to start winning. What I've also heard from multiple sources is the next season, in the next week, will be an entire sellout. So something that this ownership group wants, they've never had, adulation by the fans, and also all games really sold out, not just on paper, but in reality. And that's what we're going to be expecting to see in Philadelphia.
My one fear is Markelle Fultz and his injury history in high school. I think that he hurt his knee several times playing in high school. So for some reason, the Celtics felt compelled to deal the pick to the 76ers. Now, the Celtics, they have Isaiah Thomas. I think that this prospect Fultz should be a lot better than Thomas, who doesn't play any defense. It's a little concerning to see a team pass on him, and I hope it's not because of an injury history. But the bottom line is with Markelle Fultz is that I'm pretty confident about this kid and his ability to play alongside Ben Simmons. And the key will be for his ego to play with Ben Simmons. And now, a lot of Celtics fans are even saying that they're disappointed because the Sixers, have completed the process. You got to give credit to Brian Colangelo, but you also have to give credit to the preparation of Sam Hinkie and the picks that they had to deal. Even though the team has not even been a basketball team the past few years, and it's been 1,000, maybe 1,500 days of complete torture as a fan of it's probably been the worst basketball time in the history of the city of Philadelphia. Now, this is a team now that can hopefully make conference finals and NBA finals. And if they don't do that, then I think you look at the Hinkie regime as a failure, But, Bruce, what would it take for this basketball team to not deem the Hinkie years a failure? Would it be a conference final in the next 3 years? Would it be an NBA finals in the next 4 years? Is there any way that that Sam Hinkie's years could look back upon, and we could look back upon that with kind of mixed feelings that this was worth it?
Well, this is the argument we have on Rover Sports, and again, we're every Wednesday night from 7 to 8, and we're on 610 a.m. and broadcasting, of course, through the whole world, through our Facebook, through Rover Sports, Bruce Grossinger Live, and also Shank and Spence, an up-and-coming show with a really fun broadcaster, Matt Shanko, one of the funniest guys. He also likes to take a counterpoint. He also is a real expert on the New York teams, the New York Giants, and the New York Knicks. So it's nice here. We're very inclusive. We include some of our favorite people.
Yeah.
We have our biggest Washington Redskins fan doesn't even live within the continental United States.
Right.
And so you're going to be seeing a lot of Matt Shanko. There's rumors that there's going to be more Rover Sports, more Shank and Spence. So the bottom line is it's going to be crazy. This is exciting. Since this trade broke, everybody's texting wildly. The first time that Dr. Steve Lewis and Perry Liss have agreed on anything is they both love the deal. And we're stationed in Philly. This is the epicenter of what you're seeing on ESPN. It's all based in Philly.
I love the deal as well because, the Boston Celtics, even if they wanted Jason Tatum, I don't think that they're going to take Josh Jackson, Bruce, because Josh Jackson can't shoot, and, Crowder and Marcus Smart and, the guy that they picked last year from California. I actually, the name is escaping me right now, but with the third pick in the draft last year. But, the Celtics have all these players that are not incredible marksmen, and so probably Jason Tatum's going to them. I can't believe that they didn't inquire about Sarge or even Jahlil Okafor, and maybe they're trying to get Jimmy Butler out of this deal and continuing to trade picks back. The Sixers still get the Lakers and the Kings pick, and it's an unbelievable haul. They do move up 2 spots, but Markelle Fultz, what a perfect fit. They now have the team in place. It's kind of like with Carson Wentz. All the drama is over. When you look at Thursday, you're pretty much now sitting back as a Sixer fan, and you now have Markelle Fultz as your centerpiece. And I'll say it from this point, as a fan of the 76ers, I think that Fultz and Simmons are going to win games. I do. Do I think that Markelle Fultz is the most entertaining pick in this draft? I don't think he's the most entertaining pick in the draft. If I was just coming at it from a fan's perspective, I think that Fox is more entertaining. I think that Tatum is more entertaining because there's more. I just think there's more upside, more intrigue, more curiosity. But I look at Markelle Fultz and it just seems like. It seems like there's not a lot of drama. It seems like this guy's going to come in, be a 17-point scorer, be solid, and I don't think that this guy's going to be a bust, Bruce. I just don't with the way that he plays the game.
Again, we're in Rover Sports. Please like our fan page or join Bruce Grossinger. We still have about 100 slots on our Facebook page. Let me make a few comments. You talked about Fultz's knee. Let me put that to bed. He was fully checked out. Now, you could laugh at the Sixers team doctors as being a MASH unit. Going back to the show MASH, looking at Alan Alda, because of what's happened certainly over the last few years. But Fultz played a full season. I think by all accounts he had a little bit of a knee strain, and he did a workout. He's got a 46-inch vertical leap. He could cut in 0.12 seconds. You'll see all of this on Sports Science. And the guy has got a great shot. He creates 4 feet of space. You'll see that every time he has the ability to stop on a dime and elevate. So he creates 4 feet of space. The question is, can he get a shot off in the NBA? The answer is hell yeah. And he's a tremendous passer. He's got great court vision. If you ask me to compare him to somebody, again, he reminds me of Dwayne Wade. Look at him finishing. You see D. Wade, he always makes those reverse layups. He goes down, he floats through with those reverse layups. I'd say about a third of the highlights, you're going to see a D. Wade. D. Wade came in the league. He was a very, very good shooter, but not a great shooter. He was fast, but he's not as fast as Russell Westbrook. But you know what he is? He's a leader. He's a court general. He's fearless. I am thrilled with Markelle Fultz. As far as the Celtics, they want Josh Jackson. That's what we hear. That's what my inside sources. They've got plenty of guards. They've got like 8 guards already. Josh Jackson is a guy who they want. Now the question is, could they package a third pick with? They've got 7 draft picks in 3 years. Do they want Jimmy Butler? Do they want Paul George? What's the answer? Hell yeah. So you know what? Danny Ainge has got options. But you know what? For the first time since 80-85, we're going to see what was the best rivalry in my memory when we had Bird and Dr. J, and even going back to Wilt Chamberlain, right? And going back to those dynasty years of the Celtics. That is what we deserve in the East. And guess what? When you've got the Lakers as an up-and-coming team, certainly they've hit rock bottom. When you've got the Lakers, Celtics, and Sixers, when you've got those 3 teams battling it out, guess what? That's what you call must-see TV.
Couldn't agree more. I think that the coastal elites of the NBA. I certainly think that that's gonna help the product of this NBA. I mean, the Celtics would be making a big mistake, I think, to take Josh Jackson. I think Tatum has to be that they need to find a guy who could score. I don't know what they're going to do with Isaiah Thomas. I think every day that he's with the Celtics that they're not getting any better. They're getting worse. They need a point guard. If I were them, I would just draft Fox and have that position solidified and draft an all-star that you have right there. Passing on Fox and keeping Isaiah Thomas, I mean that's pretty. It's pretty tough to see that. If you were a fan of the Celtics, Bruce.
Yep, and I'm going to give you a counterpoint from a sports medicine standpoint. I'm Bruce's sports doc here, and I can tell you I know a little bit about FAI. Okay, that's femoral acetabular impingement syndrome. You know why? Because as I sit here today, I've got a version in my right hip, and ultimately. Obviously, I'm very much of a retired hockey player, but the fact is this is a surgical lesion, and it only gets worse. It causes the cartilage to grind, and in my opinion, this player, Isaiah Thomas, is going to need at least an arthroscopic, if not an open procedure, to correct this. They could kick the can down the road, but if you remember, Isaiah couldn't play in the key games in the NBA playoffs. He had to sit out, and they announced FAI. When I heard those 3 letters, I thought, oh, my God, because you've got a guy who's south of 6 foot tall. His game is predicated on speed, agility, and cutting. And when you have a hip joint problem, it affects everything in the kinetic change. It causes back pain. It causes lateral knee pain. It affects the IT band. And this is a bad injury. And if I'm the Celtics, do I put $200 million into this guy, albeit he's battled all the odds. But if he has a major hip surgery and a big rehab, is he going to be the same guy? Regrettably, my answer is no. My feeling is draft De'Aaron Fox with one of those picks, and in my opinion, let him go. Let somebody else sign Isaiah for the max deal.
Bruce, looking at the Sixers roster, you now have Markelle Fultz starting as a guard. Covington was in that photo with the team. He's going to be your 2 guard. He's going to be a guard as well. No, he's going to be like a forward.
He's going to be a small forward. He's going to be a small forward. Guard. You got Saric is your stretch forward.
Yep.
And you've got Embiid, obviously, as your 5.
And you got
That's
Embiid.
The way it works out.
And then Okafor is going to be able to play the rest of the minutes, probably at center.
I see them unloading. I hear a lot of buzz. The Okafor has come and gone. Okafor doesn't want to be here. Right. It's really an interesting bet to see who dislikes the situation more, the Sixers or Okafor. He's dead wood. In life, sometimes you add by subtraction. They're going to unload Okafor for almost nothing on draft night. That's my prediction. You're going to use Rashawn Holmes. He's your backup center.
Or Splitter can compete with
Splitter if he's healthy again. End of the year. I hope he's healthy. I enjoyed him when he was in San Antonio. He's a Brett Brown guy. But it's time for Okafor to go.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I mean, Bruce, if they kept Okafor around, though, he could do well against the backup players, and you could get more for him at the trade deadline. I'd keep him around because I trot him out versus the 2s and keep him here. His value couldn't be any lower right now. It couldn't be any worse. You try to get more for Okafor, especially at a deadline. You trade him to a desperate team.
I don't know what you fans think out there, but I'll tell you this.
Because he was good last year.
He wasn't good. He's a terrible defender. Okafor is a guy who's essentially, in my opinion, quit on the team. He's been marginalized. He's on his way out. He's a lame duck. That's what we use in politics. I'm talking now. Thank you for allowing me to finish. He's a lame duck. He is a guy who wants to be out, and that certainly is prerogative. Things haven't worked out in Philly. He'll do well with the change of scenery, and he will indeed get that chance.
I don't know if he'll do well with the change of scenery because I don't think he's fast enough I don't think he's a great defender, like you said. I don't think he's tall enough. I mean, he was great in college. He dominated that style of play. I mean, he's going to have to get better defensively. I mean, his stock is so low. The Sixers missed last year on that. You look at Markelle, Ben Simmons. If these two guys, if Ben Simmons plays well, it's really all predicated still on Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons has to be a transcendent player for this whole thing to have worked. I don't think Fultz can carry a team. I don't think Embiid's going to be there to carry the team. But I look at if Ben can really be Ben Simmons, the special passer that he is, if Dario Saric doesn't regress a lot, I'm still worried about Dario a little bit. I think that right now we're in the honeymoon stage of Dario Saric where he got to have a ton of time with the team and, everybody can pad their stats when they have nobody else playing on the floor. I look at Dario's jump shot. I don't like the arc on that jump shot. I have a lot of concern.
I'm concerned about that too.
I'm concerned about Dario Saric.
When you look at
I don't think he's a shoo-in right now.
What is Dario Saric? He's very athletic. He's developing confidence. He's a great slasher for his size, 6'10". He's also a defender, a really good defender. He's a great team player. Yeah. The guy's a gym rat. He does one thing. He plays basketball. He practices. He's a humble guy. Yeah. We've had a chance to interview and meet the guy. If you ever have a chance to hang out with Dario, you'll love him. He's a funny guy, self-effacing guy. Now, in my opinion, what would I like to see? I'd like to see him reacquire Ilyasova. Okay, yes. He's a great stretch four. And if you're really going to make a playoff run, which I believe you are this year, but I believe you're a playoff team this year, and in 2 years, you're finally going to challenge for the top four. I think we're 3 years away from the Eastern Conference Finals. And as long as we see steady improvement, I'm good with it. What are my concerns?
2 to 3 years, maybe in 2 years.
There was one small rumor, and again, we hear things that they're unidentified sources. As much as we hate to use those words in politics, there's one source that says that Ben Simmons' foot is not 100%. And that came through a medical connection without mentioning a name. We don't know this in fact. It could be a rumor. It's the only time we heard that. But we want to make darn sure that Jones fracture is entirely healed. The other thing, of course, is looking at Joel Embiid. Here's a guy who had a foot injury, who also had a bone contusion, as well as a small meniscal tear, which was, by all accounts, repaired arthroscopically, and his knee is fine. But we look at the way this guy's played, okay? You look at Embiid. He had a stress fracture in his senior year. He had another foot injury, a foot fracture, and now a meniscal tear. So the question is, for you, Spencer, again, not talking to you medically, but if I were them, I would tell Embiid that he should become a low post player. He should get that base under him. Do I want him taking off from the foul line, just landing on people where he could just twist ankles and hurt knees? I'd say no. Does he play a more controlled game, even at the extent of being maybe less of a defender? Yes. So in my opinion, you teach him how to play under control. The two things that could derail the season is another Ben Simmons injury or an incomplete heel, no pun intended, on his foot, or another Embiid injury. That would be devastating. That would set this franchise back. If those two players are healthy and you add Fultz and you have, of course, Saric, Covington, and you even have McConnell coming off the bench, and you have Jared Bayless, who is a guy who's forgotten. Jared Bayless, they're very high on him. He's a good shooter. He's a veteran. He came in with he kind of had a freak wrist injury. He tore tendons. He had surgery. That was not expected, all right? So you put all these guys together. You fill in the back end with Gerald Henderson, a good leader, a good veteran. I see a team that is going to be exciting and it's going to challenge not the Cavs, not the Celtics, probably not the Raptors, but you're going to be looking at a team that's going to be anywhere from 4 to 8 in the playoffs this year. And most importantly, you're going to see an up-and-coming team. Another thing we didn't mention is the defense. You got to look at Fultz. He is a shot blocker. He's got a 6'10" wingspan on a 6'4" guy, and he's tenacious. So you have a guy who's not only a good defender, who's going to lock down guys. He's going to be quick enough. He's going to be guarding guys like Steph Curry. But guess what? He's a guy who's going to be blocking shots and playing down low. So imagine you got Saric as a defender. All right? You got Ben Simmons, a great passer, who I think will be a reasonable defender. Saric came along. Covington is a guy last year, most improved defender in the league. If you ask me, you know why? Because he cared. So I'm just excited. I think we got a team. And the final rumor we have to mention is there's a lot of rumors that we're going to get J.J. Redick for
Really?
We're going to get J.J. Redick for a 2-year deal. All right.
Oh my
gosh. It's probably going to be.
That's the most exciting
Guess what?
news.
It's probably going to be $10 million. That's what he's going to command.
Yes.
$10 million
Yes.
for 2 years. So he's going to get a $20 million deal for 2 years.
Yes.
And JJ, we love his webcam. He's one of the most articulate
His
guys.
webcam is a
if he comes to
podcast.
the city, here you're going to see
podcast.
JJ's going to be on Rover Sports. When I say webcam,
yeah,
I meant
we'll
podcast.
get him on Rover Sports. And what I wanted to say is you need a veteran presence. And JJ Redick, I mean, he's one of the more cerebral guys in the NBA. You know, when you look at JJ, and he's been in the NBA Finals with the Orlando Magic. He saw one of the ascending, young centers in basketball. Hopefully, you look at a guy's career, and for about 3 to 4, for maybe about 2 years, Dwight Howard was maybe a top 3 player in the league. And if Joel Embiid at this young age can channel young Dwight Howard, that would be so exciting. And you look at Orlando, how special that was with J.J. Redick coming back east, and now you have Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz to pass him the basketball. I mean, looking at him trying to hit some 3 balls, that's going to be incredibly exciting. Bruce, I'm very impatient for the year to start because, with the Sixers, these last couple of years, it's all been about projections. And we actually haven't seen, a product.
That's exactly right. And last year, I think my favorite games of all, granted, my favorite regular season game was the Houston game. That was a fantastic game. That's a game Joel Embiid kept on coming back. He was hurt, came back out of the locker room, went out, and they finally won that game. And that was so exciting. After that, it was over. February, March, April, we have season tickets. We didn't even open the door. We weren't even tempted to go to the games.
No, everybody was
much
hurt.
like my Phillies tickets. I've got Diamond Club seats.
I'm really excited.
I'm not even tempted to reach in the
This
drawer and
team
get
is
them.
great. Nick Stauskas, TLC. I mean,
Nick Stauskas, TLC.
Forget
By the way,
about
TJ
TLC.
McConnell. What we're really
Korkmaz is coming over.
Korkmaz is coming over in 2 years now. Korkmaz is small. He's a great dribbler, passer.
Fred Cestus,
you know what we want? Listen,
Fred
we want to have a team. Obviously, the gold standard is the Warriors. They've got 2 great starting fives, 2 amazing starting fives. I want that second starting five. Maybe Saric will be part of that second. Maybe T.J. McConnell.
I want
maybe
the
Robert
playoffs.
Covington.
I want a top 6 seed.
Maybe Rashawn Holmes. I want to bring these guys in.
I want the
and
playoffs,
JJ Redick.
and I want 1 year of Ben. I just want Ben Simmons to play like 70 games at least,
Right.
And
all I
no
care
minute
about-
restrictions for Ben. Would you say? What would you say the odds are of minute restrictions for Ben?
Unfortunately, I think you're going to see minute restrictions for
Embiid.
both Embiid and Ben because they're both coming back from injuries.
How many minutes do you think Simmons is going to play by like the 20th game of the year? How many minutes will he be
I'm going
playing?
to say they're going to start off with 24-minute restrictions, and that might be liberalized to 30 to 32-minute restrictions. That's my best guess. As I can see, we're running out of time here on Rover Sports.
Yes.
We could talk all night, and we will. We will talk all week. It's
incredibly exciting.
Tell everybody
It was a
this
great
Wednesday.
trade. Great trade for the 76ers.
Allow me. Tune in radio app for all of you who may be tied up and you want to stream our radio show. Obviously, we'll be on Facebook, but tune in radio app, 6:10 a.m. WTEL, right here at 555 Ballakidwood. It's going to be the band's back in town. Perry List, Dr. Steve Lewis, Coach Josh Deshay, 2 Division I coaching teams. This is all basketball. Me, Dr. Sports, it's so late, Dr. Sports. I gave myself a new nickname,
You did.
Bruce the Sports Doc. And finally, Spencer G. Take us out, buddy.
Well, you got to say it, man.
Then you get ready. Here we go. Get ready to click us off.
The horse is out of the gate.
Get out of here, horse.
All right.
Get out. So, guys,
We're ready.
again, we're Rover Sports. We're based in Philly. We cover everybody all the time. And want to thank all of the loyal viewers and listeners. Hope you had as much fun as we did. And for Spencer and myself, good night